you're working there. What's going on? What's going on with TikTok? Is it going to work? It's going to work now. Oh, maybe I didn't add TikTok. I have to turn it on here. Maybe this will work. Flipping a switch, hitting save. Let's see if it actually works. I don't like this new interface. But it may actually be what was the issue. Hey, there we go. Hello, TikTok. Yeah. What's going on? It's Monday, isn't it? Monday, all day Monday. I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, my name is Sean Shapiro. I am a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff all the time, and I'm here to talk to you about stuff and things that you care about. If that stuff is traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Oh, you know what? I just realized I had moved over this. 1 second here. Let me unlock my camera, and I can slide this over to the side. I like it more over in the corner. Yeah, just chilling out, and thought I'd jump on to see what's cooking, see what you're up to, and see if there's anything you want to talk about. This is a show that I used to do Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 a.m., and now I'm here doing it at my own time in the evening, sometime which might be more convenient for you. Let's see if we got I was testing out my lower thirds. Sean Shapiro, former police officer and traffic nerd. I think that is possibly the most accurate way to describe myself. Yeah. I own the nerd title because it works. It works. Not everybody's interested in this stuff, but I'm interested in this stuff. Chat seems to be functioning, so I see that Musa Tahoe says live. Yes, this is actually live. And you're watching on X, so welcome. You're the first person to jump in from the X platform tonight. Smurf GT. Smurf GT wants to know if the vehicle on their profile picture is legal. Can I get to your profile right now? Let's see here. Let me see if I can find you. I'm going to do a quick search for Smurf GT because you know what? Can't hurt. Smurf GT. And as we're getting things rolling, no, that's not. You're not Smurf it. Smurf GT. I'm going to try and identify users. Try and figure out what does that car look like? What is that? It's a car 45 Smurf GT. Let's see. Oh, with the Christmas lights. That's what you're talking about? Is that you? So can I pull it up? I can't pull it up on screen. At least I don't want to, mess around with it too far. But yeah, putting Christmas lights all over. Actually, I'll just show you what I'm seeing here. So can you see what I see? Is that? No, I can't. Because there's no autos. Tomorrow I'm going to have an autofocus camera. Tonight I do not have one. But it appears to be a car that is covered in Christmas lights, which I think is awesome, but does not meet it doesn't work under the HTA. You can't have red lights and blue lights and green lights on your car. Certainly can't have them flashing, but if they're solid, less of an issue. They're also very low power. So if I was a police officer and I saw you on the road, I'm a big fan of Christmas spirit, so I probably wouldn't give you a hard time. But if you got a ticket, you know that yeah. Not specifically legal. All right. I saw Ryan from Thin White Line Interceptor jumped in. Good day to you. Let's just have a quick hello, see who's here. We got John and Fane and B. Riddle. Boo. I don't know how to pronounce that. Bimmer. We got Raz and Dabo and X89. Scarier, WV. We got a bunch of people coming in. And then we've got DeBrono Derek. How can parking be? What is this? How can parking at a broken meter warrant a ticket when you have to pay? What is this? Warrant a ticket when you had to have paid to find out if the meter was broken. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a parking guy. Never have been. I don't think I've ever issued a parking ticket. But I do understand that you can't park in a parking spot that has a broken meter. So there's that. All right. We got. Oh, Mike wants to know how radar or laser works. I by no means do I have the qualifications to teach that subject, but I can give you the basics. Essentially, and radar is really not something that we can talk about it, but more the simplest one is laser. So laser has an emitter and a receiver. Essentially, a laser is signal is sent out, a beam of light, and then reflects off of the target, and then it determines the distance. Well, it shoots multiple beams. It does multiple beams come back, and the time it takes for the beam to return tells a different distance. Well, time and distance calculates speed, so that's how they determine the speed of a moving motor vehicle, by taking multiple measurements very, very quickly. And as the differences, as you close into the device, it's getting closer. Well, if it's closer based on a certain timing, we can determine speed. It's pretty much the same thing, just instead of using a light with LiDAR, radar is using radar. I hope that was a really, really low quality description, but I think it hopefully helps you understand it. Okay. What do you think about $700 insurance for a 2007 car? I think that stinks. Nobody wants that kind of insurance rate. Now, there's a lot that goes into what rate you're paying. First of all, everybody's paying more because of the garbage people who are stealing cars. Thanks to them, the rates everywhere have gone up. My rates have gone up, and I've been driving for 100 years. So what am I getting at? I'm getting at it sucks for everybody. Obviously, I don't pay $700 a month. That would be insane. But it where you live, what kind of vehicle you drive, what your driving record is. If you're an experienced driver with no history, then that's a whole lot of money, and I'd be shopping for different rates. If you have convictions that suggest that you don't follow the rules, then maybe that's a reasonable rate. I don't know, but I'm not an insurance broker. I don't know what went into getting you your rate. Zenny says, hello to you. Smurf GT says, it's me. Yeah, okay, gotcha. That was regarding the I found the right account. Cool. That was the Christmas ornament adorned, or not ornament, but lights adorned vehicle. What kind of car is that? I guess it's a GT of some kind. Yes. I'm glad that people appreciate it. I'm glad that you did it. I think that this is, again, having a vehicle that's decked out in Christmas stuff. I think it's great. Not necessarily legal, but I think it's pretty cool. We got here. Canadian Ape. Long time no see, my friend. Good evening, Sean. Glad you're still helping by answering questions. I have so much fun doing it. I can't put away the computer. I got to keep playing. No, this is good stuff. And nighttime is a good time. Daytime's a good time. I'm trying to figure out something more regular. Not every night. I might start doing a daytime a couple of times a week, and a nighttime. If this is good for you, it's good for me. All right. If you're just brand new to the channel, if you've never seen me before, I used to be with the Toronto Police Service as a traffic officer and media relations officer. I worked in traffic safety programs, answering questions about stuff and things. And yeah, I still want to help people. And even though I've since retired, it's something I'm interested in doing. So I realized that I meant to do this a little while ago, and should have put a timer on the screen, because I don't want to sit here all night, and without a timer, I might sit here all night. That's not good for anybody. Well, definitely not good for me. How long have I been on? I've been on for 13 minutes. What do we do here? We're going to change this to, we'll do 40 minutes. Just because I'll be here all night if I don't. And I'll still go over time, I'm sure. Okay. That's just really a reminder for me. Cool. If you've got questions, tend to have answers. Can't answer everything, but I will definitely give it a try. Anything that we just don't know that you can also look up by going to trafficcop.ca. I've got a lot of resources there. You can also send me questions that when I have more time, I can delve into and try and help you out. All right, got this, got that. Question from X89V. I have a tiny, small crack on the front windshield. Will the cops give me a ticket for it? How big is a crack? Like, if you've got a chip, you should get it fixed before it becomes a big crack. If it's a crack across the line of your sight, yeah, you can get a ticket for it. It's going to get bigger, right? It's not safe. One thing is it gets into your vision in sunlight. It can create glare and all sorts of issues. It's just a bad scene. So yeah, you could totally get a ticket for it. Will you? You're probably going to get a reminder to take care of it. If you get pulled over a second time, we make notes, we share information. You'll probably get a ticket a second time for sure. Right Track Racing, how you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. We should talk tomorrow. Right Track Racing is a buddy of mine. He's a police officer. He also happens to have a drag car. It doesn't dress up. It actually goes down a drag circuit and races. And it's pretty awesome. Looks like a Mustang. Sounds like a Chev, at least last time I heard it. But if you're interested in that, check them out online. Right_track_racing, and check out that cool car. What is this? RCS 1189 wants to know what some of the must-have details to include in your notes for an impaired. That's probably too far down the rabbit hole for our average viewer. But happy to have that discussion offline if you want to DM me. Okay. We got here, who is this? Irvin Magic Johnson Jr., who says, "You're on thin ice, pal." I don't know what we're talking about. Okay. Let's see here. We got always one of my favorite questions. How much over the speed limit is considered to be pulled over speed? Anything over the speed limit is against the law. So if you're speeding 1 kilometer over, although you're likely never going to get pulled over for 1 or 2, it's illegal. So if you want to avoid a ticket, just don't speed at all. In terms of what's the magic number, every officer has their own threshold. For me, if you were in a 60 zone, I'd pull you over for 15 over. 10 over, I probably wouldn't look at you twice, but 15 over, you were getting a ticket. 10 over, if I was bored, you'd get a warning. But 15 over, you got a ticket. 20 over, you got a ticket. Anything. And if you got 19 over, I'd reduce it to 15. That was usually the way I went. And if you were 20 and above, you got the actual speed. That was just me. That's what I did. Brandon says, "Hey, Sean, hope all is well. All is well. Thanks for asking." We got the discussion is there. So obviously somebody won't pull you over for 5 over. Well, here's the thing. If you're in a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone, if you're doing 5 over and a 30, that's suddenly worthy of a discussion, maybe a warning, but you shouldn't be doing 5 over. The limit is the limit. You shouldn't be taking liberties with it. And people don't respect the speed limit, so they need to have a conversation, maybe waste a few minutes of their day. That way the whole thing. I remember the poster when I was a new copper, and probably when I was a student. It was the poster that said speeding slows you down. And it has so many other things that you delve into. The fact that collisions occur slows you down, tickets occur slows you down. Don't speed. Let's see here. Can I drive my parents' car to a nearby location if the car is insured, but I'm not named on it? So this gets into a whole bunch of things. Do you have a license? If you have a license, you can drive any car you're licensed for as long as it's insured. Now, your insurance company may not like it if you're not named on the policy, but that doesn't mean you're not legally permitted to drive the car. Police officer pulls you over, your driver's license is valid, insurance is valid, you can drive the car. If you're talking about a G1 driver unaccompanied, no, you can't drive the car. So it all depends. Give me more, Mr. Cool. Let me know. But I'm glad you're asking. Glad we're having this conversation. 519 Aiden says, I've been pulled over for 10 over, yet I've driven by someone at 60 over and no problem. So that is where people get all messed up. Because they didn't get pulled over for 1 speed, it becomes the de facto, it's okay to go that speed. Now, I know that 60 over you weren't doing okay. It was because somebody wasn't looking or paying attention. They may have been, eating their cereal or sipping on a coffee and looking down and reading something from the dispatcher on the MDT. MDT is a mobile data terminal. Just because you didn't get pulled over doesn't mean it was okay. It means you got really, really lucky. 60 over, I'd be taking your license in most cases, or as I would have been had I still been a police officer. So 10 over, most officers don't get excited for 10 over. Okay. And that's the same question again from Trenton. What's your gray zone? Yeah. Under 15 wasn't so exciting. Okay. And there's more to it. There's so many people breaking the law that under 15 over in most city circumstances in a 60 zone. Let's use that because I'd pull you over for 10 over and a 40 any day of the week. But most of the time, everyone's speeding so much that we're looking for the people who are going fastest. And that's pretty reasonable, right? If a bunch of people are driving, the one who's pulling away, the one that's going to catch our eye, and that's the one we're going to focus our attention on. Okay. Emoji name says, "Hey, Sean, what's the best way to enter the police corp when coming right out of high school?" Know that right out of high school is probably not a great plan. You're at high school. You're what, 18 years old? Is that high school graduation? While you're eligible to apply, you probably don't have the life experience to be a good candidate right out of high school. So continue your education a little bit. Talk to a recruiter. I mean, they might give you something different in terms of information, but I don't like the average person being hired by the Toronto Police Service when I was going through was about 30, not 18. Now we do hire people who are younger now. I say we like I'm still there, but 22, 24, probably the younger side of things. Definitely go to www.tps.ca/careers and think about that, and check them out. All the information is there. You're eligible from 18 to 65. Actually, I don't even think the limitation at 65 is still there. People when I got on were 52 and they were getting on. So could it happen? I focus on volunteerism and continuing education. Let's see here. Run It Up says, "Are you the commissioner in your fantasy league?" If you mean sports, I don't have a league. Or yeah, I don't know. I had nothing to do with sports. Let's see here. Did TPS ever have honorary police officers? I've seen the chief and former chiefs issue honorary detective badges. I don't know what the criteria is for that, but it has happened. Yeah. People who've had outstanding, I guess, contributions to the community, things they've done. It was on Toronto Police social media. I think there was a clip where someone received that. I just don't know what the criteria was. Okay. Smurf GT, we're talking about Christmas lights on cars. With everything bad happening with the car community, it's nice to put smile on people's faces with this being the car that has Christmas lights. Listen, it's great. And on private property, it's not an issue at all. Just on the road, it could be potentially a problem. And Harshal says, "Your car is awesome, bro. A cop must be in a pretty bad mood to pull you over, I'd assume." Well, no, because hard to say. I think most of the time you get pulled over to say, "Hey, it's not legal. I'm not giving you a ticket, but you should know somebody else might." That's pretty much the way I'd handle it, and probably take pictures of it. What is this? Can you park on the bends in a road? I don't think you could, but you'd have to look at the signage. It's not as simple as if there's a bend, you can't park there. I would suggest checking for signage. It sounds like a really bad idea. But depends on where you are. Read the signs is the best thing. Any plans for the holiday season? Like what? Like going somewhere warm? I would love to go somewhere warm. I was in Florida not that long ago. No plans as of right now, other than spending time with family and doing family stuff. Why do you think so many LEO are quitting? LEO being the acronym for law enforcement officer. I'm not aware of everyone quitting or so many. I mean, I left early, but I'm still very involved with traffic safety, and I have no plan on changing my path. It's just that I'm not able to act in the capacity as a police officer on the road. And at that point, if I'm not going to be on the road doing police stuff, why am I a police officer? That's gives me the latitude by being a civilian to do other things and still help the police, which is really what my goals are now. But why are people leaving? If they're leaving, they have a change of heart, a change of interest, whatever the case is. I couldn't speak for them. I don't know. And I also don't know that so many are leaving. The people that I work with are still working there. What is this? Do some cars target sporty cars more than others? That's from Hellsent owner. Do you mean Hellcat? No, I don't know. Hellcat owner makes more sense. What's Hellsent? Anyway, here's the deal. Sporty cars tend to do sporty things. So if you're seeing someone driving in a way that's silly, it's probably somebody in a vehicle that does silly things. Very rarely does a Honda Odyssey do burnouts. Just saying. It's activity, it's driver behavior that we're looking for, not a particular make or model. Now, I can also tell you at speed, at 250 meters, I don't even know what the vehicle is that I'm spotting, other than I can tell you the color that's coming. Like I'm looking through the reticle of a laser device. I'm seeing a vehicle that's approaching quickly. I'm taking a measurement. I don't know what that vehicle is. So it's not. I would say that they're not targeting any particular type, unless you're talking about stuff like modifications, like noisy mufflers. Yeah, it's almost always going to be one of those fart cans put onto a car to make it sound silly. I really don't have any love for loud cars. I appreciate the rumble of a classic. I don't appreciate the fart, pop, snap, crackle crap that comes out of these cars trying to sound good when it doesn't. But anyway, just me. The Canadian, what's going on? Oh, I see you sent me a donut. Thank you very much. I'm still not used to this whole thing of being able to receive gifts, and I'm also not looking at the screen. Like I'm looking at a you know the view from here is very strange. I have multiple monitors that are on, none of which are showing me the output from TikTok. So I see myself in my teleprompter, not because I need to look at myself, just because I normally use that for meetings. So I'm looking at the person, so I can tell I'm looking right at you. Uh, but yeah, I got so much going on here. Who said that? Somebody said, "How's retirement going?" Oh, heel hooker. How's retirement? So far, so good. It's not really retirement. It's just retirement from policing. Now I'm doing other stuff. Now I'm working hard. I'm working nonstop. Is what I'm doing. All right. Let's see here. Is it? Oh, interesting question. Is it legal to keep a child in high school from going to the washroom? So are we torturing children now in school? Is that what these buffoons are doing? Teachers can't prevent you from having access. If you're gonna defecate in your pants, if you're gonna have a situation where you're gonna pee yourself, that sounds like cruel and unusual punishment. I don't know what the rules are in high school. I'm a traffic cop, not a high school cop, but I can tell you that a teacher that doesn't let a child go to the bathroom is a well, I'm not going to say it. Am I? I'm thinking about it. I want to use a word that's very descriptive and sounds like I don't approve of that kind of activity. Doesn't sound like something that a person who wants to mold young minds would do. But I don't know what the situation is. Hopefully, you take care of your restroom duties before you go into the bathroom. But you know what? If they're doing that to you, I would suggest talking to your parents and talking to having them talk to the principal. I'd be putting a complaint to the superintendent. Yeah, I don't like that kind of bully shit. Okay. Smurf GT says I got pulled over 2 times. Cop said it's a sick car, no tickets. Both said, but he won. Oh, okay. I see. So they were checking you out. Gotcha. Is passing on the right illegal or just frowned upon in Ontario? So passing on the right is something specific to regular surface roads. We're not talking about multi-lane controlled access highways. We're talking about surface roads. So if you're going down a country road and it's one lane, can you pass them on the right on the shoulder? Well, that's where the law it comes into play. So if the vehicle in front of you is slowing to make a left turn or stopped waiting to make a left turn and it's a paved shoulder, then you can. Otherwise, you cannot. You can't go on an unpaved shoulder. So that's where the law is. It's not about being on the 401 and passing on the right. That is absolutely illegal. Sorry, it is legal to pass on the right on a multi-lane highway. You're just changing lanes and overtaking. It's not actually passing. But it is safer to pass on the left when it's legal. That's where everyone's expecting you to do it. So still use caution because people aren't terribly great drivers. They're more terrible than great. And that's my take on it. That's my take. I just want to see if I missed anything here. No, I did not. Sip of water is what I need. All right. What we got here? Okay. Some dialogue amongst yourselves. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I used to do the show Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. when I was a police officer. And now I do it on my own time when I have time. That being said, if you're on TikTok, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. If you're watching on any other platform, please feel free to ask questions. Please, subscribe, share the live because I'm still trying to get the message out and help people out with the things that are less understandable. All the laws are written somewhere, but you have to be able to find them. You have to understand which ones are in effect and which ones are not. It helps understand the perspective of the police. And generally speaking, the laws are written in code. They're just not that understandable. So I try and bring this stuff to you in a way that's easy to consume. Yeah. And GGBBGH wants to know if they can ask something. You can ask, but we're a number of minutes behind. What time is it right now? It's 9:54, and I'm still reading questions from 9:40. So by all means, put it in, and we'll see what comes back. What is this? I don't know. He's asking stuff about terrorism. We'll see we'll read that again in a few. All right. What do we have here? Can you pull over to the side of the road, like a back road, for example, to sleep in your vehicle? Not a good idea. Roads are not a place to park. Shoulders are not a place to park, and certainly not to sleep because these are active roadways. Parking on highways is illegal. If it's a King's Highway, if you're a 400 series, if your vehicle breaks down and you're actively waiting for roadside assistance, that's different. But pulling over to sleep, not okay. Pull into a parking lot, a well lit area, go to a restaurant, a hotel. Even if you're in the parking lot, you're in a better place than on the road where vehicles may not see you, may drive into you, and may hurt you or worse. So, yeah, not a good place to be. What is this? Steph Graham wants to know about copies of insurance. We'll talk about in a second. Let's see if that actually comes through. Michelle Duffels has a question about DUI in Ontario. 24-year-old on cocaine, careless bodily harm. What's first offense minimum? Sorry, this is they were charged with driving under the influence. They were a 24-year-old under the influence of drugs, being cocaine, and they were charged for careless bodily harm, or they were charged with DUI, because generally were they charged with DUI and careless? Yeah, I don't know what they're going to get. Yeah, I've heard some wild things about what the potentials are, because it's a range. But what are they going to get? It's going to be what the court determines is appropriate. And our courts don't always give heavy hitting fines and jail time or sentencing. They just don't. They tend to be very light, especially on DUI. It's one of those things that everyone seems to get away with. Now, maybe the drugs and the fact that they hurt someone could increase the consequences there. But if there's no injuries, they really slap on the wrist. It's pathetic. All right. Professional Sound says if someone forcibly merges into your lane, hits your car is in the rear position, who's at fault? Please have a dash camera. Please tell me you have a dash camera. Everyone should have a dash camera. I just put in a new dash camera and got an ODB a 2-port power supply so that my camera is always managing and not killing my battery. That's a different story. But if your lane, it's your lane. If they force and make an unsafe maneuver into your lane and hit you, they're at fault. But you got to prove it. And unfortunately, that's harder to do if you don't have that evidence, witnesses or camera. So it depends. It could it be their fault and you get in trouble if there's nobody else there to see it and he said she said, you might be out of luck. The physical evidence will only take you so far. You tell people what actually happened and you hope for the best. Sometimes you gotta have that. I shouldn't say sometimes. You gotta have that dash cam to save your butt. And you can get them for cheap. Just get a dash cam, and anything is better than nothing. What is this? We talked about that already. VMAX Man. What do you think it'll take us to save? What is this? Oh, what do you think it'll take to save us from unexperienced commercial truck drivers? I think with all drivers, not just commercial trucks, we have to revamp the system. We have to go and do regular updates and testing to maintain standards, because we have some pretty horrific drivers in this province and this country. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is for that. But we have a problem. We got, which Spice Girl is your favorite? A question I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been asked on any live stream. So kudos to you, detailer. I'm not a Spice Girl fan. They all have British accents, right? I don't know. It's not my thing. Although wasn't it was it Sporty Spice or Chunky Spice? Which Spice was it that had big hair? I have no idea. My kids are too young to know what Spice Girls are. It's a good question. I have to ask my wife. Who's the best Spice Girl? Why don't police lobby governments to have auto manufacturers put limiters on cars? Well, probably because they won't do it. But I mean, I don't think that'll ever come a day when they limit them. Here's the thing, and I really can't speak for police agencies as to why they do or don't do that. But I will tell you that a car is responsible for being a car. The driver is responsible for everything that happens afterwards. Auto manufacturers aren't going to take away the stuff that sells cars. I mean, look at the Corvette. It's a track-ready car, essentially. It's a car that boasts all the technology that makes Chevy an amazing brand. They're showing off with that car. You take away that vehicle, there's no more, or the ability to go fast, that car doesn't exist anymore. And then they start making, one box that goes in any direction. Mind you, that really helps Elon Musk having autonomous cars everywhere. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Why would anyone buy a Ferrari that goes 105? I'm not saying anybody should be able to go over 105. I'm just saying maybe we need geo-fenced limitations, like a car that can go fast on the track, but on the highway gets, monitored remotely. I'd be advocating for that. Okay. Boom, ba-doo. Petition. What is this? Petition to remove front plates, please. I'm a fan of front plates and double the chances of identifying a motor vehicle, double the chances of identifying a kid that's lost, that's being looked at with an Amber Alert. The front plate can be the difference between finding someone and not finding somebody, saving a life or not saving a life. So it's really not a big deal. I don't think your aerodynamics are going to suffer too much. Is it legal to lane split in Toronto? It's not legal to lane split anywhere in Canada. It's only legal in certain states, like California allows lane splitting. But then the California Highway Patrol even puts a warning on their website saying it's extremely dangerous. So lane splitting, not legal here. What is this? Any idea why so many new speed limit signs are being imposed all over? I'm assuming you mean the reduction of speed limits in the city of Toronto and other jurisdictions, coming from 50 to 40, from 40 to 30. They're being reduced to make it safer for vulnerable road users like pedestrians who, when hit by a car at 60, have very low chances of surviving. But if being hit by a car could be safer, well, it would be a slower car or a softer car, but slower is the one that we can control. So at 30 kilometers an hour, people will likely survive that collision. And sadly, we have so many people who are so focused on their phones, they're not driving safely at all. We have far too many pedestrians being represented in our fatals. Last year, I think we had 49 deaths, 25 of them were pedestrians. Yeah, we need to protect people. So that would be a good reason. They really want the front plates gone. No, I'm not getting involved in that one. Okay. So Mr. Cool D question earlier was, can I drive mom and dad's car somewhere, even if I'm not on the insurance? So as a G2 driver, most insurance companies will want you to be added to the policy. And that's really only going to come into play when you're in a collision. It's not illegal for you to drive the car while you're, not listed under the policy, but they could deny a claim if you got into a collision. But legally, you're a G2 driver, you're legally permitted to drive, 0 blood alcohol content, there's some conditions with how many people between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., but you're legally operating an insured vehicle on the road. So you could, in fact, borrow the car and use it. I would suggest just calling and being added as an occasional driver to make sure that everybody's happy and that, they don't deny a claim when you get into a collision, because collisions happen and they suck. Okay. Someone's late to the party. Can you have Christmas lights on your car while driving? Legally, no. Is that the highest priority for police? No. If they pull you over, might they wish you a Merry Christmas or give you a ticket? Could be either or both. But I wouldn't do it. I think it's great. I love the smiles that it creates, but I'm not doing that myself. Stephen Bell, long time no see, says, hi, how are you, Sean? I'm doing well, Stephen. Nice to hear from you. Let's see here. Stephen wants to know, people on a mobility scooter that are on sidewalk, do they need to stop for a school bus? Very interesting. Mobility scooters, a true mobility scooter, I would treat them as pedestrians. Technically, there are motor vehicles. They can't be impaired while operating them, but I would treat them as pedestrians, and pedestrians are not motor vehicles, thus they don't have to stop. If you're talking about on a roadway, if you're in some of these cockamamie inventions that are not mobility scooters but are being sold as such, I would say that they have to, and I would also say that they shouldn't be on the road in the first place, but it really depends on what we're talking about. Back to basics wants to know about reading questions on Instagram. I'm reading questions everywhere, but I'm trying to get through the backlog of questions on TikTok, which, by the way, that list also has X and also has YouTube questions and LinkedIn questions. We're on all of those. Yes. I like that Chef Mario is handing out free virtual hamburgers. That is very, very kind of you. Everyone needs a virtual hamburger now and again. Much appreciated. All right, let's see here. Oh, great question. Love this question. J Den X King. J Denks King. I don't know how to pronounce your username. If you floor it off a green light, but only up to the speed limit, is it illegal? Could be. Could be a marked departure from the flow of traffic. It could be racing. It all depends on the observations of an officer. It really depends. Why do it? Like what purpose does it serve? It's not speeding, but it could be stunt driving. It could be careless driving. Like, are pedestrians jumping out of the way? Are they all freaked out? Did someone have a heart attack? Is it unnecessary noise because you revved to red line? Like, there's a bunch of charges we could go with. Is it likely you're going to get them? I couldn't speak for that. Anna C says, "Hi, Sean. Hope you're doing well." Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it. I am doing well. It is a wonderful evening to be chatting online. And I think this is possibly the latest live stream I've ever done. Wanted to start at 9, but I chose to start at 9:30 because I got downstairs at like 10 after 9. Anyway, the kids needed me. What do we got here? Are parallel parking still on the G2 test? I have no idea. My understanding is it's still the shortened test. So anything that was on the G1 test won't be duplicated on the G2 test. Wait, let me rephrase. Everything that's on the G test, it's a shortened G test. So everything that's on the G2 test won't be duplicated in the G test. But I don't recall, and I never had to do it, so I don't have any real world experience as to what's on the test. But there's so many driving instructors that are on this platform. I'm sure you'll be able to find one that could give you a better answer. Yeah. Do you think it's smart to go to police programs in college? I would go to anything other than police programs, quite honestly. I would get specialized and unique experience that you can bring to a police service to make them better. If everyone goes to the same course, then everyone has the same knowledge, then they all have the same tools. Well, police are going to give you the policing tools once you're hired. Why don't you become an accountant? Why don't you become a doctor, a business person, someone who's into video and media, things that you can bring to the police service to make it better. That's what I would suggest. But being like everybody else, if you have no interests other than policing and you don't want to get into a media course or an accounting or business course, and that's going to be like pulling teeth and torture you for 3 years, don't do that. Do something you're going to excel in. And if that's going to be law enforcement course, take it. But I always tell people do something totally different. Because what happens if you get into policing and you hate it? Well, then you can go off and do something else. Now, I love it, and I still went off and did something else. Okay. I'm just reading something off of Instagram. This is the Bass Debate. What is this? Back to Basics. Know why they hate me is the username. I wanted to apply to become a police officer and make a huge difference in the neighborhood, but all I have is a high school diploma and I'm 21. That's awesome. Talk about doing it for the right reasons. So I would say do it, like jumped into the right time of that conversation. I would do anything and get in. But the big thing is volunteerism. Volunteer and be involved. And you can always apply, continuing as you see you typing as you go. You can always apply. And if they say you need more life experience, continue with the life experience. If they take you now, then you're good to go. You're 21, you're young, you're probably right at really early to go directly into the police service because they usually want you to have more life experience. But I'm not going to tell you not to try. Go to www.tps.ca/careers. Talk to a recruiter, get their opinion on it. I would be right into the volunteerism and taking courses and continuously learning in the meantime. If you apply and you meet all the qualifications, you apply and you get in, bonus to you. And if not, keep on working towards the goal. Okay. Oh, Hannah says, I got pulled over for speeding and a cop found out I had nitrous by illegally searching my car. So interesting thing about this, if they had any suspicion that there was anything modified to that vehicle, they can conduct an inspection, a safety inspection. As a police officer, they can have you pop the hood, they can check under your car, they can go through your vehicle for safety purposes, for the inspection of the mechanical being of the vehicle. So that's not necessarily an illegal search because you have to comply with that inspection, and failure to do so would lead to other charges. But if they had a reason to believe you had it, well, yeah. And obviously you had it and it was illegal. Funny how that works. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But that's you can have a tank, but you can't have it connected. If you have a tank and it's empty, it can be connected, but if it's full, it cannot be. So having it isn't illegal if it wasn't connected. If you had the ability to deploy it, well, then it's illegal. But there's probably a bunch of things in your car that led them to believe that you had it, which then triggered an inspection of the vehicle, which then gave them the right to check it for that purpose. And then they found it. I'm just guessing. Chef Mario says, my cousin is a detective in Renfrew, Canada, which obviously was why you gave all the, virtual burgers from earlier. Thank you. And thank you for your cousin's service. Can you, hello, Jay says, hello, Sean. Can you explain what improper start is? I need to know what context we're talking about. Start from stop? What are we talking about? What's the context? Tell me more. I've never led a charge called improper start, so let me know what we're talking about. More about front plates. I talked about it already. Dragon's Breath Gaming says, I hate when people do that, but I don't know what we're talking about. And our friend Evandro is here. He says, your Brazilian fan is watching again through LinkedIn, possibly our only LinkedIn viewer right now. Actually, do I know how many? I got no confirmation as to whether or not LinkedIn is actually live right now or not. Maybe it's just not showing up. Maybe it doesn't give stats. So I can see how many people are on X, and I can see how many people are on YouTube, and I can see how many people are on TikTok. By the way, if you're on TikTok, please hit the like button, the hearts, or whatever the heck it is to tell other people that we're still doing this, and we still got about 10 minutes to go. All right. Stock car. What is this? Lonzo says, stock car exhaust got a ticket for excessive noise, but that's how it comes from factory. So this is where people don't get it. Were you driving at idle? Were you driving at red line or idle? Were you accelerating rapidly? Were you doing anything outside of normal driving? Because if your vehicle was quiet as a mouse, factory, and you were driving normally, like respectfully and slow, you probably wouldn't have gotten a ticket. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. But if you hammer that gas and you are driving more aggressively, it's possible that if you were finding your revs higher towards the limit, you'd be creating more noise. And beyond that, what do you drive? I want to know more. I'm judging you here, but I don't want to judge you unfairly. So tell me more about your vehicle. Okay. And Dragon's Breath Gaming says, probably because you were revving for no reason. Very often that's the case. And then Hannah, who has the Nitro, says, that happened to my S2000. It's so stupid. S2000, modified exhaust or stock, revving or not revving. It's not stupid. If you're making unnecessary noise, that's legit. All right. Let's see here. I bought a car off the dealership with window tint. Is that an argument for avoiding a ticket? Even if you were borrowing a friend's car and the tinted windows were too dark, you would be responsible for driving a vehicle with a color reflective coating that prevents what's the word I'm looking for? Missed the word. It's out of my vocabulary for at least 10 minutes. Essentially, you can't block the people from seeing in, and you can't block the driver's view out. And if you're the one driving, you get the ticket, even if you're not the owner, even if you didn't put it on, even if you bought it that way. Okay. What else we got here? So, not a defense. Lonzo says, nah, V8 is loud when accelerating, even when you don't gas it. I don't agree. I've had V8s. I've had all sorts of cars. Generally speaking, a vehicle that rumbles at low to idle, even if you're accelerating 0 to 60 quickly, it's probably not going to be loud unless it's being modified, or it's just an obnoxious, I don't know. What do you got? Tell me more. Again, I'm judging and I feel bad. I have a very important question. Can I ask? We talked that already. We talked about this, the house drive. Boo. What we got? All right. Deason says, stop avoiding the front plate question. I think you just got impatient, but I talked about the front plate a lot already. All right. 4 months ago, what are we talking about? I see some cars imitating police vehicles. Isn't that illegal? Depends on what we're talking about. Does it say police? Is it just is it a former police car and it just happens to have a light on it, an antenna? It depends. Are they putting themselves out and acting as a police officer? It all depends. Someone's asked, and you're actually spamming. No, you are spamming. Please don't. Just ask a question once. We'll get you when we get to you. They want to know if the MTO can pull over a regular car. All right. What do we got here? What is this? Would you ever consider giving? I don't know what this is. So yeah, if you're telling me about what is it? Do we Google this? Hang on. Oh, is this a multiplayer game? I probably don't have the right stuff to play it because I'm a Mac guy. Um, that's the gaming for playing police and it looks cool. I would do it if I had a PC, but I don't have a PC. Actually I have a PC, but it's such a I have a couple of these miniature PCs that I just use for like running my kids' servers for their what do you call it for Minecraft. Probably not powerful enough to run any one of these simulators. All right, moving along. What is this? Old days. Dodge Monaco unmarked made great arrest. Now MC are just like I remember when TSV had Pontiac vans. That was cool. I hated driving them. Timber says going into auxiliary OPP until I'm graduated police foundations. Any tips, tricks, or any thoughts? Just make sure that you understand that as an auxiliary, you are given an opportunity to go put on a uniform and do great stuff. You can either be, well known for doing great stuff or well known for being someone that they don't want to work with. So you can hurt yourself if you didn't figure out if you don't figure out how to play in the politics as an auxiliary, and it's a little tough. I was an auxiliary for 12 years. Did you see the article about Christmas lights on cars? Thoughts, Steve? I have not seen the article. Let me know what the article is. I've talked about it a lot because technically not legal, but I've never given anybody a ticket for it because I like the whole Christmas spirit thing. If you have flashing red lights, it's illegal. If you have flashing green lights, it's illegal. If you have flashing blue lights, it's illegal. Solid low voltage lights, I really wouldn't have an issue with. Oh, Deason says, hate the cops on the road these days. I got pulled over for a factory exhaust on my Q50 RS. Again, driving behavior tends to be the biggest issue with all of these cars. If you're popping and fizzing and whizzing and snap crackling, you've got a car that sounds like a jackass. Like it's a terrible sounding car. It may be the greatest thing in style today, but if it's creating unnecessary noise, expect a ticket. The claim though that we don't want to see young people with better cars than them. I have friends that are police officers that I guarantee you have better cars than you. Yeah, it's not about cars. It's about whether or not you're being a noise machine and disturbing the peace, and you're not allowed to. So if you're acting like a dink behind the wheel, expect to be treated like one. All right. Question from Evandro, who, by the way, has a channel of his own, and he puts up a lot of the stuff that I put up, but he does it in Spanish and Portuguese. So let's see here. If driver refuses to take a breathalyzer test, is it a crime? And also, are you penalized for drunk driving? Two fines. So here's the deal. If you refuse to provide a breath sample for a roadside screening device, you are charged for refuse. You haven't provided a sample. There's no understanding that you have blood in your you have alcohol in your bloodstream, but you're charged and for refusing the sample, and then the consequences are exactly the same as had you failed. Yeah. This is the reminder that I've now run out of time, so I'll just try and get through a couple more questions. But if you don't already follow me, please do, because I try and do this as much as possible, and you get notified if you have the bell. And there is a bell on TikTok, by the way. If you have the bell on, it'll notify you when I go live. Okay. Going back to Deasons, who says, cops be targeting violators of traffic laws. Absolutely. We target anyone who breaks laws. That's nothing to hide. We're not focused on people who have nicer cars than us. But we are focused on people who act like jackasses behind the wheel. Okay. What is this question? Do you guys at TPS send anti-terrorism extreme unit to hunt down people? Never heard of such a unit. Sounds pretty wild. Doesn't exist that I'm aware of. Okay. What is this? Oh. So this is still Hannah, who's upset that they got caught for having their illegal NOS, because it's illegal. They got caught breaking the law and they're not happy about it. I get it. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. Uh, yes, and Dragon's Breath Gaming. Most people think that they have legal stuff, and they are shocked to find out that they don't have legal stuff. What do we got here? This is Steph who wanted to know about virtual copy of the insurance. So here's the deal. For insurance in the province of Ontario, they changed the laws to allow electronic copies to be acceptable. Those electronic copies have to be in a secure app from the insurance company. And if you have that, then it's absolutely acceptable. But an original is always a good thing because if your phone doesn't work, you would get a ticket for $65 if you couldn't surrender it. And Dragon's Breath Gaming confirmed that they use theirs all the time. My company just gave it to me and I've never even installed it. Gord says, "Hi, Sean. So glad to see that you decided to continue." I didn't even read that right. So glad to see that you've decided to continue doing this. It's my pleasure to do it. I have so much fun hanging out with you guys and putting the knowledge that I have, accumulated over a long period of time in my career with the Toronto Police to good use. Because just because I left the job doesn't mean I left the knowledge behind. Okay. Personal thoughts on distracted driving rules regarding cops. Do you feel there's too much slack? If they are involved in a collision as a result of utilizing just in a collision in general, all that information is saved, right? They're going to be investigated. Is there a reason to use their equipment while driving? Yes, they're emergency services workers and they are responsible for so much more than just driving around. They're searching information. To be able to use their police radio requires them to be exempt. Being able to use the computer in their car to run searches on vehicles around them requires them to be exempt from the law. And using their cell phone happens to also be an exemption for police, fire, and ambulance. Could they be misusing it? They could be. Is it likely that they're ordering pizza and checking game stats while driving? It's unlikely. There is so much going on in a police car that requires attention that even when they're using their phone, some police cars don't have computers. They have to use their phones to run plates. It may look like they're doing something that you want to do, or that could be dangerous. And it is risk, but it's risk that is acceptable risk as part of doing their job. So is it possible that somebody is ordering pizza? Yeah. But we still have to have that authority to do the things we need to do to get the job done. But I appreciate it looks terrible. And police generally want, or the management generally wants, police to pull over when possible, which is not always possible. What's this? What is this? Party gets conviction for impaired, enters into interlock ignition program, gets caught driving motor vehicle without interlock, along with several HTA charges. Is he also criminal code prohib? That's a question from out on YouTube. So they have a condition that says they can't drive a vehicle that doesn't have the interlock. So the criminal code prohib, if they've got the interlock program, they're not prohibited. They're prohibited from operating a motor vehicle without the interlock. So I pulled people over. I was on the 401. I just happened to be behind a guy, ran the plate. He was on a cell phone on the 401. I was on a motorcycle, pulled him over. Guy shows up as an interlock. He was driving a rental car or a loaner from the dealership. I impounded that loaner car, and yeah, he wasn't prohibited from. He wasn't on a prohib. He was on a condition. All right. Can you fight an orange to red traffic light violation? What's an orange to red? Like you ran an orange, which is an amber, which means stop unless it's unsafe to stop, and which point you're allowed to proceed. If you're at the point where you ran through a light and it went from orange to red, you should have stopped. Like that's a really stale amber that you're running through. You can fight anything you want, Tony, but I can't guarantee that you will win it. But that's your right. Are you recently retired? I used to see you in uniform here. Yes, I left on August 30th. That was my last day working in the office. We talked, Mike. We talked about radar and laser earlier in the show. What's the rules for renewing your license plate now? The deal is that it automatically renews unless you have unpaid violations, fines. Unless there's a reason that it can't, then they'll send you a notification if it won't automatically renew. Otherwise, it renews automatically. If you're concerned, if you don't think it's right, go double check. Go in and make sure you're doing the right thing. Boom. What is this? Oh, ever since I started driving commercial vehicles, I got a cam. Dash cameras, absolutely the best thing ever. Deasons wants to know if radar detectors are illegal. They are not legal in the province of Ontario and Alberta. I believe they are. Uh, I don't think they should be legal. All they do is make people slow down temporarily to avoid getting caught by police, and then they start driving quickly again as soon as they think they're safe. Radar really isn't a form or a method of speed measurement that we use very much anymore. So you're not saving yourself very much, but they're still prohibited. You can't buy, sell, transport, use a radar detector in or anything that prevents the police from measuring your speed. So that includes jammers for radar and laser. If we believe you have it, we have the authority under the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario to stop and search your vehicle for that device and seize it once we find it. We can also use our trusty screwdrivers and multi-tools to disassemble your vehicle until we find it. Or if we were wrong, well, you get to put it back together. Okay. What do you think about the limiting of speed for commercial vehicles, specifically the big rigs? I think it's a good idea to keep those things slow. They crash enough when they're going at 105, so going faster just means higher risk. And somebody earlier mentioned, the fact that we have so many inexperienced commercial truck drivers. I don't want those things going faster and causing more damage. Okay, Sam says 5 years ago I got a windshield ticket, but the cop didn't give me the papers. So was it a warning? Did you get a ticket? If you got a ticket, if you got a paper, sorry, if you got a ticket, you got a paper. Even if you got a provincial warning, you get a paper. If you have any concerns about a ticket that was issued that might be on your license, go to the ministry and ask them. Okay. What is this? So Tony's following up on the whole concept of fighting a ticket for running a yellow that turned to red. And the description saying I was trying to beat the light. Right there, you've just sunk yourself. If you go and say that, you have convicted yourself in your testimony because you had to have been unable to stop. You were so close when it changed that you had no choice. Problem is, if it was a stale yellow and it's clear that you accelerated to get through, you're done. With speeding tickets, what makes your insurance increase? The ticket itself, the demerit points. The ticket itself. Demerit points have nothing to do with your insurance company. It is all about the demerit points is all about tracking your license to take it away from you from the ministry, and the whole deal with the with the conviction, which stays on your license for 3 years. That's what the insurance companies see. Truly, if you forget your license at home and you get a $110 ticket for failing to surrender, right there, that's enough to get you a well, at least it's one of the minors towards a major and changing your insurance status. No fun. What do you think about robo-taxi in Toronto? Do we have we don't have robo-taxi in Toronto. Unless we're talking about autonomous vehicles. We're not ready for that. First of all, automated vehicles are only in a testing phase in Ontario. They're not legal yet. Hey, Shumrim, Toronto. I'm not advocating for robo-taxi or if you're talking about autonomous vehicles. Okay. Speed doesn't, Pierogi says speed doesn't cause the accident. It's a factor, but ultimately it's the driver. Speed is a factor because you're right. It doesn't on its own create a collision. It increases the damage. It increases the injury. It reduces reaction time. It is a huge factor in collisions. In fact, it's a collision. It's a factor in the majority of collisions, especially the ones that lead to serious injury and death. All right. Have you ever received a ticket while driving in your personal vehicle off duty? I have not had the pleasure. I've not received a ticket since retiring either. You know why? I follow the rules. Excuse me. Yeah, it's not. I haven't had a ticket since I was like 17. I did get a couple of tickets when I was like 16 or 17. Oddly enough, those lessons stuck with me for the rest of my driving career. What do we got here? Thoughts on the 401 speed limit being raised to 110? Do you mean everywhere or in the areas currently already raised? I have no problem if the government chooses to raise them. I just don't think we need to go any faster. The people who are going faster will just think it's licensed to go even faster than that. No good there. Pierogi says, I feel like this is recorded. Not seeing any of these in the comments because Pierogi jumped in and wanted immediate gratification that I should have seen their question as it came in. It takes some time. There's lots of people asking questions, but not recorded. Common Sense Guy says, hello, Sean. Hello, Common Sense Guy. And then this person agrees that this is recorded. Not recorded. All right. What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, scrolling through. I'm already over time. I said I'd be going after the hour. We'll be going for an hour and 6 minutes, so I got to wrap it up. What province has the best driver education system? They're privately run, so I couldn't tell you. I don't think there's a good program versus a bad program. I definitely don't think Ontario is a good program. So I'm not familiar if there's a program that's actually baked into the ministry somewhere. That's interesting. But if you mean G1, G2, that kind of stuff, that's just I don't know. It has noble goals. I just don't think they do it right. They need much stricter standards. What is the maximum you can blow on a alcohol test if you have a G? So in the province, so there's a couple of things. It's 0 unless you're 22 with a G. Okay, you have to be 22 years old to have more than 0 on a G license. But at that point, to 0.049 would be the highest you could have without a charge of impairment, like without getting a 3-day suspension. If you were to achieve 0.05 to 0.079, that would be a 3-day warning on your first time. It goes up from there within 10 years. If you have multiple warrants over 10 years, it goes from 3 days to 7 days and 10 days, I think. You take a course, it's a whole mess. Now, once you get to 0.08 and above, it's criminal charges. So I hope that answers your question. And Adam, I just saw a question pop in from you. If you have a two-way stop, one car arrives first and is turning left. Car 2 arrives after car 1 and is going straight. Who has the right of way? It's a two-way stop. Let's see. Two-way stop. Car 1 arrives first and is turning left. Car 2 arrives after car 1 and is going straight. So we're talking two vehicles traveling in the same direction, one waiting to turn, one going straight, or it's first to a stop sign, first to arrive, first to drive. It doesn't matter what direction you're going. It seems more and more people are having problems with red lights, and this isn't to give you a hard time, but just in general, it seems to a lot of confusion. Like I went to a T intersection, and when it was my turn, somebody else went, and I'm like, what just happened here? So confusion is a regular thing these days. We talked about this, talked about that. Steve says hello from BC. How's it going, Steve? Okay. Not sure what they're talking about there. With the robo-taxi. I got to look into that. If you aren't speeding, then why is it illegal? What? Your question doesn't actually let me know what you're talking about. You may have made a comment, but I'm not reading these like up to the second. Like I'm 10 minutes behind. Still alive. Just takes time to get through the tons of questions. All right. Should I take my speed camera ticket to court? 52 and a 40. 52 and a 40 is still speeding. It's still against the law. Were you doing 52 and a 40? There's no points 52 and a 40. So it's not like you're going to get it reduced to save you points. My take is learn from your mistakes, pay your fine, move on. It's probably not worth taking a day of, in court, away from work to go deal with it. But you never know. You could always luck out. Wisdom 3838 says 20 vehicles, mostly pickups, dark tint front, can't see driver, too dangerous, no enforcement. There is enforcement. The guys at traffic services are constantly writing tickets for that. Are they doing it as much as they'd like? No, because they're focusing on high speed and other driving activities. But you know what? That's an important ticket. And if they can see it, they deal with it. If they pull them over for speeding and they got it, they give them an extra ticket. But is there a crackdown just for tinting? No, we don't have the resources. Police do not have the resources to do that. And D-Rock, who says, who cares? I care. It's unsafe to have tinted windows. Get less light in your eyes, which means you see less, which means you are more likely going to hit someone because you didn't see them. Also, people can't see in when you're in a city environment. You know, you need nonverbal communication to make that eye contact with people on the road. If they can't see you, you can't see them. They don't know that you see them. It causes all sorts of problems. But the truth is, you're getting less light into your eyes. Not wearing your ticket shouldn't be a ticket. I think you're talking about seatbelt. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, you absolutely should wear a seatbelt. Still the number one way to keep you in your seat in the crash. Greetings and salutations from Aquila Draconis. See, I got you. I knew you were talking about seatbelt. Greetings and salutations from Aquila. How you doing, my friend? What is this? I totally disagree with any ticket without legally being pulled over by an officer. This is from Jamie. I assume you mean this is red light cameras and speed cameras. I think they should be on every road at every intersection. If you go 3 kilometers over, you should get dinged for a ticket because nobody should speed and nobody should run red lights and nobody should run stop signs. You should be able to follow the rules without being pulled over by a real live police officer. And police officers should focus their efforts on bigger stuff than the stuff that is the most basic of rules, the stuff that every driver agrees to abide by when they get their license. And frankly, if you can't abide by it, you shouldn't be a licensed driver. They're getting speed cameras. Gotcha. Kayla says, I have to catch up with the show. We should do lunch sometime. We should do lunch sometime, Kayla. It's been a while. Lots to catch up on, I'm sure. Although I'm very rarely in the city anymore. And let's see here. Jay keeps wanting me to talk about improper start. DM me. We can talk about it. I'm not sure what you're getting at with improper start. Like start from stop not in safety. That's a charge I'm familiar with, but I don't know what you're asking about. My hairline has an airline. Says that being mafia is way cooler than what? I've been watching Tulsa King. I mean, we can talk about that. What's going on with car theft in Canada? It's out of control, as is with most crime. Do you think after graduating uni is too early for applying for the police? I think you absolutely are at 22 should start applying. It is absolutely a good time to start. And if they say you're not ready, then continue your education, volunteer, do some stuff. Police are softies now. No, we're better communicators than we've ever have been, but we're not necessarily soft. I don't let anybody or didn't let anybody get away with anything. I just have a different way of communicating. So if you think this is soft, you haven't seen me pissed off. Bonsoir. Good evening from Arthur Larat. Good to see you. Thank you for the lovely greeting. Okay, we got this. I'm scrolling through because I really got to go. Like, I have stuff to do other than this, but I have enjoyed all this time. I do enjoy all this time. Can MTO pull over a regular car? Yes, they can. They tend to focus on commercial vehicles, but they do have the authority to pull over any car. Their own policies generally have them sticking with the commercial vehicles. All right. Talked about this, talked about that. All right, looks to be a bunch of duplication, but Zoolander says, thank you for your service. Hope you're enjoying retirement. I'm having a great time. I get to sleep in like way later. I used to get up at 4 a.m. every day. Now I get to get up at 6:30. Those couple hours mean the world. All right. I think John is right. John says too much bad driving in the city, and you are absolutely correct. Anush says too much going on in Brampton. I've got a YouTube channel concept that we're working on right now, and I'm going to be doing some monitoring of driving across Southern Ontario and reporting back as to what kind of driving I see and collecting some statistics to see just how bad are the drivers. That's going to be interesting. Ticket for radar detector, it's 2 demerit points. It's 170 or 180. I always confuse them. And every time I look it up afterwards, I confirm that I was saying it right, and then I still can't remember the next time. But it's 170 or 180, 2 demerit points. Okay. Oh, one of my biggest pet peeves: people using the exit lanes in the 401 to get ahead of traffic, then to merge in. They're just being dicks. They're not getting anywhere farther. They're just causing all sorts of risk and doing really nothing other than pissing people off. Yeah. if they're going over the bullnose, if they're going over the painted bullnose, then they're driving off the roadway, and I would ticket that person. They could absolutely be charged. Do they get charged? More often than not, they don't get caught. But if they get out, you have to let them back in. Yeah, you kind of sort of have to be nice, and it's in your best interest to let them back in. Although I really just want to block them. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do that I don't do. Am I retired with full pay? I left I left early, so I'm not even. I've deferred everything. I'm not getting a penny from the service right now. Do I have a pension? Like I've got money that's put away, but I don't get paid by the service. I'm not collecting a paycheck every week or every month. Uh, Deferring just means I don't want to get paid for 10 years. 10 years from now, I'll get paid. Does warnings affect insurance? No. Do you think that? No, we talked about this. Okay. Derek Scott Watson says, I want to make you a real logo. I can tell that one's AI. How would I send it to you? That would be really cool. That is AI. And it's sort of just a placeholder because there's a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipe. But Derek, I would love for you to create a logo for me. If you go to trafficcop.ca, you can actually DM me and or just email me at voiceovercop@gmail. Very cool. I look forward to seeing your creative creativity. Just I can't think of a word. All right. We got here JD Solomon says, I was recently on a 407 toll going 115. No doubt many other drivers were going 130 to 150. I go to Barrie at least once a week. There are drivers who are doing 150 plus, passing me like I'm not even moving. It is gross. The level, and it's not one. There's a squad of cars that just weave in between other vehicles. If they let me just part-time do enforcement, like OPP, seriously, let me be an enforcement car once in a while. Just, I just need a take-home car, and I'll go take care of all those problems. Oh, I would not be a well-liked person if I was doing enforcement anymore, or if I was doing enforcement again. Yeah, it is. I'd put an end to that just by myself. No, I wouldn't. But it's gross. It's gross. Those people have to be taken off the road. Oh, great question. Hey, Officer Shapiro, is it legal to have an open alcohol in a limousine? Nope, not in Canada, not in Ontario. I shouldn't say Canada, but I don't think it's eligible anywhere else. Provincially, not legal to be anywhere in the vehicle. Driver gets charged. Bad day at the office. Passenger can get charged too. Ryan Pinn, my friend from Nova Scotia. Hey, if I'm in a huge hurry, can I go left and around if my exit is the first one? Okay, Ryan Pinn is a professional driving instructor. He's also a military man who plays a bugle, and loves to craft questions to be as absurd as possible. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. You done put a smile on my face. Should we have an Autobahn? Some would argue we already do, but no, we don't need an Autobahn. People are going too fast for the skill levels already. People are dying on the roads every single day. It is gross. People think they're a really good driver. You just ask them and they'll tell you, but the truth is they're not as good as they think they are. Al the Pal says 3 kilometers over. Get real, dude. That was me saying that automated enforcement should ding you for 3K over. Do you think 5K? Why do people need to speed? The speed limits are there because that's the limit. Anything over the limit is illegal. Why would you want it to have a greater threshold? Why do you need to go faster? Any tips on finding parking around downtown? My tip is to park at Finch Station and take the subway. I don't drive downtown unless I have somewhere very specific, and they better be providing parking. Could someone with a G1 drive in an emergency? Boy, I said I was leaving at like 1 hour and I'm still talking. No, you cannot drive in an emergency. Call a taxi, call a ambulance. There is no emergency that you as an unlicensed driver would be a justified driver in. It's not. You're not insured. You're not covered. And as an inexperienced driver who doesn't even have a license causes a collision, it means 2 people have an emergency now, or 3 or 4, depending on how bad it is. What is a citation? A ticket. It's a ticket. It's just another word for ticket. Why does Toronto have the slowest processing of parking tickets? No idea. Let's see here. Oh, Maple Leafer says Southern cops turn on their radar to slow the flow of traffic. Alerting of a radar. Interesting. I would just place radar detectors everywhere then. Truthfully, we don't use radar very much, but that's a great idea. I think we should just put like just radar detectors on every block. And truthfully, we kind of do. Everybody's parking sensors or radar, and it does create all sorts of false calls. Can I put a different muffler on my truck in Alberta? Alberta has some crazy laws, and anything other than stock is illegal, from my understanding. Cop was lane splitting the HOV lane because of an emergency. What do you do? So the rules say a motorcycle cop was doing it or a driver? Because here's the rules. Excuse me. The lights and sirens on. You go to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. If you're on a road that has an HOV lane, you're all the way to the left. You're at the closest curb. You go to left. Will you ever visit North Vancouver? Our local Mounties would love to meet you in person. Tesla guy. Actually, I was talking to some Mounties out there. I plan on doing some cross country Canada stuff, touring with my new gig, and you know what? I'd love to work with police services across Canada. So if you got someone who wants to reach out, it's trafficcop.ca or voiceovercop@gmail. We'll make a trip. We'll make it happen at some point. Too many drivers on their phone texting and driving so slow. Yeah, it's huge. We need to get some like lasers from satellites that take care of the people who are touching their phones. All seriousness, it's a huge problem, and we need to give them bigger tickets. I think we should get to the point where if you're on your phone, you lose your wheels. Same as if you're, impaired driving or stunt driving. If you can't put the phone down, you don't get to drive anymore. That's what should happen. Ryder Furlot says, "Hey, question from Nova Scotia: are you allowed to turn right on a red with no signs allowing it?" I don't know if there's a right turn. Let's see here. Let's see. What we got here? Can you make Ryan Pin could answer that. But we're going to have ChatGPT look it up. According to ChatGPT, Nova Scotia drivers are permitted to make a right turn at red light after coming to a complete stop, provided the turn can be made safely and there's no signs prohibiting it. Same as what is Ontario. Interesting. Thoughts on Highway 11 potentially going to 120? Great laugh. Never going to happen. Highway 11 is Yonge Street for anyone who's wondering what I'm talking about. Snowflake. So perfect that your name is Snowflake. Says, put the laptops away, then calling the kettle black when it comes to distracted driving. We have to do work. There's exemptions under the law. It is distracted driving, but if the police are the only ones doing it, the risk to public is much lower than when every idiot on the road is on their phone or laptop. So, yeah, it's a thing. I see, and Ryan Pin was already on it. Orchestrated Mischief says, talk to me. I refuse. Okay, Joshua Maloney, what happens if you get into an accident and you have your G2? Why is it not letting me select it? It's doing weird stuff. Here we go. What happens if you get into an accident? You have your G2. You get a ticket when you're a G2. If you caused it, you don't get a ticket in a G2 if you didn't cause it. But it's just like being a collision when you're in a G. It is what it is. If you're charged, things change. Okay. Day one lease. So they've recently changed the laws around tow truck driving. Do you need a tow truck license to drive a tow truck? It's a wrecker, but it's personal use. They're all tow trucks now. All tow trucks are commercial. You need to look at the new laws surrounding it. It's the tow truck and storage, and I did a whole training video on it, and I can't remember anything about it. But I think you do have to have an operator. There's no exemptions now for personal use. Oh, what are the laws on cars that cross Ontario Quebec borders that are registered in Quebec and have no further information? I don't know what the rest of your question is. Is there a ticket for loud music from a car Love blasting music. Yes, unnecessary noise. Doesn't matter if it's your stereo, your exhaust, engine through defect or behavior. It's against the law. Highway Main 11 is a main off the 400 going to Muskoka. It's currently 90. Really? 90 already? See how much I know. I don't go that far north. I can't imagine it going to 120, but I don't think it will. Should I get Krispy Kreme? That's Guts who wants to know. Krispy Kreme is my favorite donut if I was having donuts, which I am not. Raspberry filled in particular. But yeah, no. Tow trucks are not considered emergency vehicles. Why are they permitted to pass cars on the shoulder? They are not. Those vehicles are. Well, one second. Are they? There's an exemption for access to. They're not allowed to drive like maniacs, which is what they do. But they are able to drive to get to collisions. I need more on that. I'm not. I generally speaking, we investigate those vehicles that are driving like maniacs. But are they allowed to drive on a shoulder? And I think they can, for the purposes of accessing vehicles that they're going to render service. They're not allowed to drive like maniacs. They do that. That's careless. We charge them up the wazoo all the time. But there's limitations to that. I just can't remember the specifics on it. The other part was no front plates. Typically drive less private. What is this? What's the best steps to take to land a police job? Apply. What if I take all the equipment out and make it so there's no possible way it can tow? So you're saying a tow truck that isn't a tow truck, that's just a pickup truck, right? If you remove the wrecker, it's just a pickup truck. But if it's considered a tow truck, it's a commercial vehicle, and there's no, like, all of them are that. What is this? Did you retire early? I did. Okay. Enjoying the late night stream. That's, I'm glad that you are. Okay. I'm a Tesla. There we go. North Vancouver. I spoke to the North Vancouver copper was on that's you, was on our show before I left, and we'll do it again. All right. I gotta go. That's it. Have a great night. It's been a blast.